Hi, I'm Tom Kalura with BrainMaster Technologies, and this instructional video we will be talking about acquiring QEEG data using the BrainMaster Discovery equipment. Bill has already given you a section talking about the installation of the software, how to make sure it's running. So I'm going to assume we have a client coming and we're going to try and get some EEG recordings from them. The software's been installed, so you'll see on the home screen, or on your desktop rather, a BrainMaster Discovery icon right here. And this is the entry point to the software that we will be using to record, monitor the EEGs and to store them. So I simply double click on that icon, and now we're looking at the welcome screen, which we also call the setup control home screen for the BrainMaster Discovery software. This is very similar to the Atlantis software, but it has some more features. We of course continue to use a trainee or study folder in which to do our work, and shortly I'm going to create a folder for today's work. You have the login as usual to type in the serial number and passkey of your unit. For example, then I will press login. And now I see the serial number of the device that was typed in, and I also see the passkey that was typed in from the information provided. And we've also included the name of this facility, the Brain Enrichment Center, and we've included an email address for pre-addressing folders to be emailed around. So when I press OK from the login screen, now I get an indication telling me what is enabled. So it's telling me I have serial number, then unlimited use, I have a clinical license, discovery training is enabled, so I can do neurofeedback training, and the applied neuroscience Z-score DLL for Z-score training is also enabled on this unit. So that completes logging in. You only need to do that once on any computer for that discovery unit. And once you've logged in, if you don't change the unit, the serial number, you don't have to log in again. Next we'll look at the folder selections. And the folder selections allow us to view the folders that we currently have on this machine. The names of the folders are given. And we also have create new folder, folder notes, we have the session librarian, and we have a new thing called Edit Folder Info, which I'll show shortly. For today's recording, I'll go ahead and create a new folder, and that's done by pressing this button. And this gives me a place to type in a name. So I'm just going to call this Training Video. There we have Training Video typed in as the name. And it's also duplicated for the file ID. Generally, the name and the file ID will be the same, but they don't have to. For example, for HIPAA compliance, you may want to change the file ID to something more coded. So I'll call this TV111, which means Training Video 111, but anyone looking at the folders on the computer is not going to know who that might be. We press OK on the Create New Folder, and now it confirms. And the software has now checked to make sure I didn't already have a folder by this name. If I already had that name used, I would be warned. And now we hit OK. And now I have a choice of settings files to use when we use this folder. The basic settings files which are provided with the Discovery software are these first two. Discovery No Limit Session. Use pause and unpause, or we can have Discovery timed assessment, 2 minutes each of eyes open and eyes closed. So we'll just pick the pause and unpause to keep things simple. I'll also note we have a training folder here, Z-score %ZOK, UL, this is one of Mark Smith's designs, and the Discovery uses training folders in exactly the same way as the Atlantis software. So that's going to be easy for you to learn. So we'll go ahead and create a folder with the Discovery No Limit Session, use pause and unpause. We hit OK. And now we're done. The session folder is created. We're actually ready to run the next session. We can actually bring the client in right now, and shortly we will show you how to do that. Before we do that, let me show you a couple quick things. The first is under folder selections, we do have Edit Folder Info, and we encourage you to use this. This allows you to see the name, which is being used, the comment. This right now says Discovery Test Pause and Unpause. We have a place to put in a birth date, so I could put in a birth date of someone, maybe year 2000. We'll make it January, let's say 10th, just to change it. There's an age, I'll put in 30. We have gender, male or female. You then can put in the recording conditions, which will be stored in the file and in the file header. You can state eyes open, eyes closed, or specify a task. And if you specify a task, you can give it a number from 1 to 999 to code your various tasks, which could be reading, math, TOVA, other tasks. There's a location down here now to put a sensor type, and I just have electrode filled in, but you could change that if you wanted to specify silver chloride, whatever. And finally, we have a place for investigator technician. I'll just put my initials in there so that now the file will have a record of who acquired the data. And with that, we hit OK, and now we can hit OK again, and that folder information has been updated. The last thing I want to show you before we bring our client in is the product manuals. There's a button on the bottom of the home screen called Product Manuals, and if you press that button, it will bring up a web page which contains some of the manuals that are going to be helpful to you. We have the Standard User's Manual, we have the Discovery Acquisition Control Panel Manual, we have Installation and Operation Example. This was from a long time ago, but it gives an example of how we ran it. Here's the procedure to use 1, 2, or 4 channel training. And finally, there's a EDF browser manual that talks about the software we're using to review EEG. The default browser is EDF browser. So do print this out. You can click on these and it will expand the document. And the documents have a lot of good information, and we encourage you to print these out and use this information. This particular document talks about the Discovery Acquisition Control Panel.